nut blank. This is a little bit long in the prototype nut vise. The best saw for cutting bone and ivory, etc., is actually a hacksaw, metal cutting saw. And once it's roughly to length, I'm going to start thicknessing and sorting the edges out. Because this is all rough sawn and I think it said left to cure. Bone does cure over time, but yeah, it's all rough sawn and it needs to be levelled, so let's get a levelling file. The nut blank fits quite nicely in there, and I'm going to use a sharp pencil to mark the edges. Now I've got a slight, the headstock goes out a little bit from there, so I'm going to just draw that on there. And with that out, I now need to file it down. Filey, filey, raspy, raspy. Let's make a nut. Use a levelling file. To take it down that last couple of microns. Constantly checking for fit. And my sides are perfect. And it's nice and flat in the slot, but now I need to sort out the top. This is a pencil that we've planed in half, and if you run it along the top of the frets, it matches the radius and also shows you the lowest point that you want your string, the bottom of your string, to be at. So do that, and it gives you something to work towards. Back to the vise. In the vise, and I'm going at an angle away. Would help if I tightened the vise. This is a prototype vise and it's a little bit too high away from the grip. We'll change that in the next time. So, the nut has been roughly shaped, and that vise is currently a little bit of an issue. We have something else, which is this little work holding tool, which holds nuts perfectly. Now, the edges, the corners, are corners. You do not want corners on a nut. Your hand goes up and you'll rip this part of your hand or your thumb, and it won't be comfy. So, as a matter of course, the edges are carefully rounded off with a very smooth file. Yes, you get bastard cut, first, second, smooth, single cut. Know your files. Guitar makers tend to use files more than any other woodworking discipline I know. Because, well, basically we're engineers as well. Anyway, those edges are nice and rounded over, and it's time to put the nut in place and work out exactly where our strings are going. And for that I need a string slot rulery thing, which I need to find. Aha! Here we go. So, put your outer string positions in, pull out your nut slotting guide and work it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then very carefully mark them in. And then I'm going to use a little razor saw to finalize those positions. carefully. From this point we'll then move on to nut slotting files, etc. Trying to get the nut slots cut roughly to size. These are prototype nut slotting files I've got here. And then once I know roughly what they're going to do, I want a little round file because our client specified a scalloped nut, which is something we do quite a lot. It's often the case that a blunt tool is more dangerous than a sharp one. The end there is blunt and it's slipped, whereas the sharp section goes exactly where I tell it to go. With the notches done, onto some 600 grit paper, and again I don't want any sharp edges. Nut is polished and beautiful, and I'm going to spot glue it into the slot. I put a spot there and a spot there, just in case the super glue seeps through the wood and causes any issues with the movement of my truss rod. But that is now in place and looking lovely. It's a well-formed nut, really is a good thing.